All right, y'all, it's your girl Miranda. I don't know how to do these intros, so we just gonna jump into it. If you hear labored breathing, it is the 13-year-old pug that's just trying to survive and refuses to exit the room even for a brief moment because he is that desperate for my attention. Anyway, so my topic for the COVID-19 series is how are the various judgmental heuristics, i.e. availability heuristic, representativeness heuristic, base rate information, likely to influence how people think about COVID-19 and making decisions about how they should respond? In what ways are these errors in cognition potentially exacerbating the situation? So basically, I'm just going to define each one of these for you in case you forgot what the heuristics were, and then relate it to how people are using these heuristics in relation to COVID-19. So the basis, a heuristic is a mental shortcut that helps us make decisions and judgments quickly. But heuristics can lead to errors in judgment. The first heuristic that I'm going over is the availability heuristic. It's a mental shortcut which helps us make a decision based on how easy it is to bring something to mind. Basically, we make snap judgments based on the first immediate thought that comes to mind. What comes to mind quickly is deemed significant, but again, sometimes incorrectly. An example of this is if you watched a scary movie about shark attacks, like Jaws. The next time you saw a large body of water, like at the beach, the first thing that might come to mind and seem significant would be the sharks, and you'd get paranoid as heck, even though more than likely there aren't sharks in the water at the public beach. How this relates to COVID-19 is that there are so many memes going around about when someone coughs, the whole room looks at that person like they're crazy and assumes that they have the virus. These memes are on every social media platform and can be found within a few seconds. Because people are quarantined and more than likely seeing this meme dozens of times in a day, if they go out in public and they saw someone cough, it might be the first thing that came to their mind, and you'd respond accordingly. So now you think that they've got the virus and are freaked out because you are close to them and whatnot. In reality, not every single cough you hear is due to the virus. That person could be a heavy chain smoker or even have asthma. You just don't know. And you shouldn't be rude or treat people differently because of one single dang stinking cough. All right, next. The next one is the representativeness heuristic, and it's a mental shortcut which helps us make a decision by comparing information to our mental prototypes. An example of this is if someone described an elderly woman to you as loving and caring, many would assume that she's a grandmother. She fits our mental representation of a grandmother, so we automatically classify her into that category. Other examples could be police and donuts, or that because kids don't like vegetables, they wouldn't like broccoli. How this relates to COVID-19 are that people are actually starting to call it the Chinese virus because it originated in China. People are responding to this very poorly by stereotyping anyone with Asian origin. For example, someone brutally attacked a person in Texas simply because they seemed to be of Asian descent. Attacked as in they in the hospital now. These people are stereotyping, attacking, avoiding, and verbally abusing people due to the representativeness heuristic. They think they are more likely to contract the virus because of where it originated in China and anyone who resembles this origin. How that heuristic exacerbates the situation should be quite obvious. People shouldn't be getting attacked on the streets, but you know. And lastly is base rate information. And that is a mental shortcut which helps us make a decision based on probability. An example of this is, imagine you lived in a big city and you hear an animal howling around midnight. You'd guess it was a dog because a wolf howling in the city would be very improbable. Now, if you were out in the country and you heard something howling, you might think it was a wolf or a coyote because that's much more probable than a random dog sounding like that. As far as COVID-19, younger individuals seem to be banking on the fact that the probability that they'll get this virus is low in certain states, and that even if they get it, they're healthy and they're not going to become seriously ill. They'd rather take advantage of these cheap flight tickets and go on with their spring breaks as planned. They're banking on the fact that the probability of them surviving is high even if they do contract it. How this is exacerbating the situation is even when these individuals fail to think about the probability of them passing it on to multiple people without even knowing it, because symptoms can take up to 2 weeks to appear. You just don't know if you could have had it or who you could have been passing it on to. Florida, for example, jumped up by 100 cases of COVID-19 in a single day due to this ideology. All right, that concludes today's segment of What the Heck Am I Doing with My Life? Quarantine COVID Docuseries. All right, doses.